Welcome everybody, and this is the 12th Kesh Foundation Health Teaching Workshop, and the topic for this workshop will be the ear, the cochlea, and the thalamus. And our guest today, our host today will be Dr. Elia Kostova at the Spaceship Institute. And we'll also be talking with Mr. Kesh, who will be speaking about the ear and associated parts in relation to the thalamus in the plasmatic way. Okay, let's switch over to the Spaceship Institute, and Elia can let us know what she knows about the ear today. Let's lend an ear to Elia.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be with you and 12 Health Teaching Workshop of Keshe Foundation. Today's subject is ears, and regarding plasma technology, what is the function of ears and all the part of the ears. We start with the first slide. We are ready with Rick? Can you hear us?
Yes, Elia, it's coming out there. It's up
Okay.
now on live
Yeah.
stream.
Thank you. First slide, it's here to show you difference in different organs, how we have one shape. The first picture is our ear. In the middle is your kidney. And on the right side, you see the embryo fetus in uterus. So if you remember for the previous workshop, I told you that the shape of kidney is so important for our body. And we are able to find that shape of everywhere on our body when we start from the shape of our brain, the shape of our thalamus, and then we go down, shape of our ears, shape of throat, how I showed the previous workshop. Most of the glands have the same shape. And on that picture, especially my colleagues who is familiar with alternative medicine, they know that in the auriculotherapy, we ever use the shape of embryo to find out the different part of human body and to treat them with different tools. But regarding the plasma technology, like Mr. Kesh said, these shapes give us explanation how the fluids come in and go out from our body, and exactly the concentration of the fluids. Actually, that shape, it's field, how to say, keep the fluids in so harmonical position. So the fluids come in that shape from the middle of the shape, how in kidney, if you see the kidney, this is the middle picture, and in the center of the kidney, you see one wheel, one tube. How the tube come in center of the kidney, that is the enters and exit of the fluids from that shape. So it is like a flow in the middle of the shape, and then the flow just spreads to periphery. And how Mr. Kesh said, our ears, they are not only to use them to accept the sound from environment, they are mostly to spread the fluids out from our body. So keep that in mind. Okay, then we go to the next slide. In the next slide, I want to show you different shape of outer ear and the parts of our outer ear. So how I told you the shape is so important, and also the left side of the slide you see different parts of our outer ear. So the helix, it's on top of your ear. This is the name of that part. And then when you go to the bottom of your ear, you find out the name lobe. In the middle, we have a cavum concha where the sounds go in, and from that enters starts the auricular tube, which is the connection with our middle ear. Actually, our outer ear with that specific shape helps to sound to separate to different fields like a vibrational fields and organize the sounds like a fields to enter the auditory tube. And also that shape is important to equilibrate the atmospheric pressure with pressure inside of our head and our body. Then I will show you where our ears connect with our nose and our throat. So exactly that shapes, again, I would repeat, helps you to separate different fields like vibrational fields of the sound, because we accept range of sounds like a range of hertz up to 20 hertz, but we accept them and different separation of hertz. So that shape, like you see, we have some kind of holes, we call in Latin fossa. They organize one more low hertz and other part organize more frequent hertz. It is like different kind of flow which go inside of our auditory tube. And also the air, which have atmospheric pressure in our environment in planet Earth, organize the flow of air inside of auditory tube. And then tympanic membrane is like a decoder of the pressure outside and inside of our head. And regarding plasma technology, different kind of shape of our helix and lobe, it's so important of our emotional state, and it's directly connection with our emotional part of brain. Actually, if you make the line in the middle of the enters to auditory tube and you separate your outer ear to upper part and bottom part, regarding which one part it's more bigger than other one, it give you explanation your behavior belongs more to your emotional part of the brain or you're more physical person. Also regarding how much your outer ear, your helix is close to your skull, it's again regarding your emotional state. That explanation I will leave to Mr. Cage afterwards. Okay, then we go to the next slide. In next slide, I want to show, as usual, that all our parts of our body, they are built from regarding golden ratio and Fibonacci consequence. It's exactly you are able to find out in our outer air. It is more complicated in our inner air. It is like labyrinth. And yeah, it's coming, okay. And exactly if you see on the right side and the right picture, you are able to see that repetitive module of golden ratio in our concha. This is our inner ear. Okay, then we go to the next slide.
Okay, we have that one up now.
Yeah, thank you. With that slide, I want to show the embryology of ears. So, of some picture you're familiar from the previous workshop when we spoke about brain and embryology development of brain. Our ears, they start to develop from rump encephalon. Just find out on the right side pictures, Rick, if you are able just to enlarge to be visible for people. So our ears, they come from rump encephalon. If you remember, we spoke that our emotional part of the brain and our thalamus is part of the encephalon. Everything which is down from encephalon, like mesencephalon, melencephalon, muellencephalon, they are the part of rump encephalon. It's our physical part of our brain. Regarding embryology and explanation of Mr. Kesh, how we separate the brain to emotional and physical part, sensory organ ears for us belongs to physical part of our brain. But if you see in the chapter on the right side, we are able to find that thalamus rules optic and auditory neurons. So actually, we have sensor organ who represent our physical part of our brain, but regulation belongs to emotional part of our brain. Actually, we accept the fields from environment. We use mostly for our physical part, but that physical part is under regulation of our emotional part of brain. Okay, so if you remember for previous workshop, I told you that we have entrance in our head. In that entrance, nature placed our receptory organs. So actually our eyes and olfactory bulb, they are like extension, direct extension of our brain, and they belongs to emotional part. Other sensory organs, like our ears, they are more solid organ. They connect with nerves to our brain, but they are not direct extension from our brain, like eyes and olfactory bulb. We have three parts of our ears, and they come from different layers of embryo, from ecto, meso, and endoderm. On the left side is picture where you are able to see formation of our inner ear. This is our labyrinth vestibular apparatus. This is our inner ear. Our inner ear is made in the mesoderm layer from our embryo. So our inner ear is more close, like a plasmatic field to our brain. Middle ear and outer ear is more close to plasmatic field of our physical part of the brain. Okay, then we go to the next picture. Next slide, please.
Okay, we're up on live stream.
Okay, with that picture, I want to show you where is the place of our inner ear. It is actually in backside of our eyes on the place of our skull. And it is, if you see the red line, this is the our eustachian tube. It is direct connection between our inner ear, our nose, and our throat. The entrance of eustachian tube is in nasopharynx. If you see on the right place, and exactly the entrance is behind our uvula, behind our small tongue. So when the ears organize the field of sound and the fields of air, like percent of that fields, they come through eustachian tube and trigger our small tongue, our uvula. And if you remember, the uvula is the trinity star of thalamus. So we have the next point which connect with our emotional part of the brain. This is direct connection between inner ear through eustachian tube. Nasopharynx enters in pharynx, which is our throat, and triggering the small tongue, uvula. So in that part, physical part of the brain and emotional part of the brain, they exchange the fields. Okay, we go to next slide. Thank you. With that slide, it's anatomically picture to see different part of our ears. So we have outer ear, then we have external ear channel, then we reach the tympanic membrane. After tympanic membrane starts our middle ear, and on that place we have different kind of bones. They organize sound, so we accept sound from environment through external channels, go to tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane just slow down the sound like frequency and transform vibration to 3 different kinds of small bones. And they organize the sound in fields and gives to the next step. This is our inner ear, is our labyrinth. In our inner ear have two functions, is accept the sound and also for equilibrium of our body in space. It means regarding the function of inner ear, we are able to be standing, walking in planet Earth because of gravitation. Inner air is directly connected with gravity of our planet. On the next slide, I will show you how. And because of inner ear, we are able to function like a body walking on the surface of that planet. On the right side of the same picture, you are able to see the cross-section of cochlea. So cochlea have two enters of the sound. You will see on the next slide. But on that picture, you are able to see like two channels. In the middle, we have nervous organization of the hair cells. They accept the sound from these two channels and transform the sound to impulse, electrical impulse to nervous system. And then through the vestibulocochlear nerve, impulse go to the nucleus, close and part of thalamus. Okay, we go to next slide. Just restart.
Okay, we have that one up now.
Okay, thank you. With that slide, I want to show you how the sounds go inside of our labyrinth. First of all, we accept the sound through our ears. Also, we accept the sound through our bones of our skull. We have two different types of accepting the sound, through our ears, through air, and through our bones. All the vibration of the sound finally reach our inner ear. And we have two entries. From a round window on the right side of the picture, you see is written oval window and round window. From oval window, sounds go in through all spiral of labyrinth and reach the middle point. If you see inside from the beginning, sound is more frequent, and to the center of the spiral is just sliding down and reach 200 Hertz. Then from other part of the cochlea of that channel, sounds go out from all the spiral through all the spirals and going out from round window. These two channels, they not contain air, they contain liquid. And the name of that liquid is perilymph. It means when outer ear accepts the sound through tympanic membrane and to three bones which we have in the middle ear, sounds organized in fields, and that field starts to trigger that liquid inside of our inner ear, and actually liquid transport the sound inside of our inner ear. And the name of that liquid is perilymph. Liquid transform the sound in air from oval window through all the channel to the middle and slow down the frequency, and then out it is again the flow of the liquid out from the labyrinth is through round window. Okay, we go to the next slide. Okay, thank you. So from that slide, you are able to see is written air. So air goes in air channel, then trigger the tympanic membrane. Then the motions goes in hammer. This is the first small bone in our middle ear. Then from hammer goes to insus. This is the Latin name or anvil in English. Then goes through steps or what's the correct pronunciation? Stripe, stirrup. No, stirrup in English.
It's that would be stirrup.
Yeah, stirrup. Yeah, I just try to say in the correct English to not mistaken you. Oh, okay. And then fluids go in oval window through perilymph, the liquid what I told you. Slow down the frequency of fluids through all the spiral and go out from round window. And part of that liquid you are able to find out in Eustachian tube. It's written Eustachian tube, and if you remember, Eustachian tube is your connection between the throat, nose cavity, and middle ear. Okay, we go to next slide. Thank you. This is our cochlea, and it is so interesting shape. From the beginning, it's starting like a snail, and then we have 3 channels. These 3 channels in Latin we call semicircular canals, and they are superior, horizontal, and posterior. They have different directions in space because they organize the proportion of our body and how our body behave in space. It's because of them we are able to walk in the surface of the planet Earth in the way how we do. Inside of these channels, you saw in the previous slide how the sounds go through the perilymph, and also inside of that channels we have small stones. We call them, it is will be more visible for the next slide, but okay. In that we have the small stones. They trigger cells what we call in English hair cells. These hair cells, they have receptors, kinocilium, it's in Latin. This is exactly like a hair. And these small stones, otolith, they are in one liquid like gile. And they move regarding the movement of your head and regarding the gravity of the planet. The receptors of the hair cells accept the mechanical movement of otoliths, this is small stones from calcium. Then they transform that impulse to nerves and give information to our small brain. What is the position of our body? Okay, then we go to next slide. Okay, thank you. From that slide, you are able to see the same structure, but in cross section. On the top is cross section of one of the channels. In middle, you see you have two cavities, up and down, and this is actually the place where perilymph goes. In the middle, in between them, you have one small cavity, and there is the liquid endolymph. In between them, you have the section which is transforming the impulse from movement of these little stones from sound and from the position of your head and how the position of your head trigger the movement of otoliths and gravity. And inside it's in one how is it in English, square. It places the nervous system of that part, what we call in Latin organ of Corti. This is the place where hair cells contain, they replace it and they accept all the impulse and transform to nervous impulse. And that nervous impulse through the ganglion go to the nerves and from nerves to different part of our brain regarding it is because of our equilibrium of the space or it is regarding the sound. It goes through thalamus or to the small brain. In the bottom picture, you see organization of the hair cells. So we have outer and inner hair cells regarding which one will receive the impulse first and how they organize impulse to nervous system. It is more medical part. I will not keep you busy with so many terms, just to have a bigger picture of organization of ear. On the right side of the slide, you see organization again of the cross section of cochlea. So you have vestibular canal, tympanic canal. This is the same with perilymph. In the middle, you have cochlear duct, contain the endolymph, and it is nervous organization of organ of Corti. Just remember that shape. In the next slide, you will understand why. Okay, we go to the next slide. Okay, thank you. From previous workshop, when we spoke about the lungs, I told you that in chest region, our two lungs, our heart, they are made star formation. On the bottom of that star formation is our diaphragm, and exactly the measurement in the middle between star formation and cranium cavity, what Mr. Kesh explained, like this is the top reactor, in the middle is our thymus. If you remember when we spoke about the heart, the nervous system, autochthonal nervous system of heart starting from sinus node. If you see on the right side of the slide, I just turn it up and down the picture. It is the same star formation. So we have two cavities, left and right. One is tympanic and one is vestibular, containing the liquid perilymph. In the middle, we have one more cavity. This is the cochlear duct, contain endolymph. And we have organ of Corti, which is actually the autochtonic nervous system of our cochlea. If you compare left and right picture, you will see the same similarity. So we have three cavities. Both of them have similar function. The third one have different function. And the top reactor again for that is our thalamus. Because, how I told you before, we have different points of connection with thalamus directly with our inner ear. So we have again representative model of star formation in our inner ear. And I repeat again, our inner ear cochlea is more close to thalamus and emotional part of our brain. And then in the middle, I just show again the picture of Mr. Keshen explanation of the star formation. So you are able to see a repetitive model of star formations in our body, in different parts of our body. Okay. Then we go to next slide. With that slide, I want to show how gravity react with our inner ear and how because of gravity endolymph just move. Endolymph is of consistence of gelée. It is not liquid on the way of water. And inside of endolymph we have otoliths. They move, they trigger the hair cells, and they transform that movement to nervous system. And all the channels, horizontal, superior, and arterial in our cochlea, they connect with different posture of our body in space. Just to have understanding how our body move. And actually, because of our cochlea, we are able to move and to interact with our body in environment of planet Earth. And again, I say, cochlea is directly connected with gravity. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. On that slide is macroscopic pictures of our hair cells. This is the cells which accept all the impulse in labyrinth. On the left side, you see in orange picture, on the top is the hair cells, then is endolymph. Endolymph accept the movement of sound or because of movement of otoliths in it, transform the impulse to hair cells, and from that part goes through the ganglions to the nervous system. With blue and green and violet is again the hair cells, more precise pictures. And if you remember the microscopic laser pictures from muscles, skeletal muscles, they have the same organization in fibers, and that fibers they are in layers. And what you see like a carpet is endolymph, the structure of endolymph. So we have again repetitive model of layering of structure. Okay. Thank you. That is for me from anatomical point of view. If you have questions, just please ask because Mr. Cash don't have patience to speak with you.
I'll have a question, Elia, and that is how does the temperature affect the ear?
Can you
How does the temperature affect the
ear? Which one temperature?
ear? What temperature?
Because inside of our body temperatures is 37.
Right. For example, I've had my ears flushed before, and if it's not at the right temperature, it makes me dizzy. Right. So
Yeah,
if you're
because the
adding,
temperature, yeah,
go ahead.
you have infection of your ears or just temperature?
No, it was just cleaning the ears. So they were squirting water into my ear, one side at a
Yeah,
time. And if it's
I tell you
colder,
why.
okay.
You never do that because uh, in external channel of your ear, which connection between outer ear and middle ear is it is so close to your skin past the nerves vagus. If you remember, we spoke about him about the heart, and that nerve number 10 pass so close to your skin, and his function is to slow down the rhythm of heart. And mostly when people cleaning them ears trigger that nerve and have so many cases that they're able just to slow down the heart beating and even to stop. And because of that, and because of that, so many of my colleagues advise the mothers to not clean the ears of the kids so rapidly. Do you understand?
Explain again. How does this
If I could find my mute button. Um, so it's to do with the
Yeah,
heart.
and because you clean your ears, you trigger that nerve and you get dizziness.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
But if it's at the right temperature, then there's no change, and then you don't do anything with that, right? It doesn't
The
cause that.
temperature is affect directly the nucleus in your brain. So they react, and from that point react all your body. You may increase the blood flow in vessels in your head and to get dizziness also during the temperature, for example 40 degree or 39 or 41, but supposed to be higher. It is
Okay.
the same when you heat the water in close uh, with closet with cover vessel, and you heat and boil it. It's the same things happen with your blood in circulatory system. Starts to boiling, no, and to increase the volume inside.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The next question
Yep.
is, what is the reason the perilymph leaks out of the ear?
What is the reason?
Yes.
Perilymph. It is when some part of your labyrinth is just broken, or if you speak about the water was go a liquid go outside from your tympanic membrane, it's not perilymph. There is it is the liquid which form on place in middle ear during the infection from the mucus inside of the middle ear. This is not from labyrinth, if you speak about that. And then during the infection starts to produce liquid inside and get to the point that the tympanic membrane just suppurate, breaks. But this is not perilymph.
Okay.
Thank you for
And so
that.
that means that the inner ear would be broken then, right? I
If
can't see
inner
anything.
ear is broken, it is in it's so rare cases when you have injury of your head and especially in your base. And if you have that case, you will have the blood goes out from your ears and from your nose, and this is so sudden case for emergency, because when the base of your head you're just broke in injury, the brain and small brain, they just go one how is in English, I just don't know, I don't know the medical diagnosis, but they gone one in one, you understand? And this is the centers in the medulla oblongata, this is the pons, starts to be compressed, and there, this is the nucleus of the most base function of your body, and you may get the sudden death so quick.
Okay, that doesn't sound too good. um, I was going. There's also another question: is how to reduce the excess wax without removing it, without cleaning? Then,
Can you say again, please?
How do you remove
so
the
how to
excess?
reduce the excess wax without removing it? Then, without cleaning, using the water.
Okay, Mr. Cage just don't have a patience to speak, so I give
No,
microphone
no,
to
no,
him.
no. He wants to know how you clean your ears. Elliot says take it to a car wash.
What was that, Mr. Kesh? I didn't catch that.
Elias said take it to a car wash.
Car wash. Okay.
Jet
Yeah,
wash, yeah.
just leave the windows down and everything works out fine.
Leave your eyes open, yeah. No problem. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to, as usual, wherever you are. Today we discussed with Elia and chose the ear and thalamus, because a lot of people consider the ear to be the point of listening and hearing. In fact, the ear of the man is one of the most active parts of the head or the reception of information and fields from the environment, where when the information or the energy received cannot be, or is not at the level that can be used or utilized by the body, is dissipated backwards out of the body. In a way, your ears, um, despite the current medical terms, is not the receiver, but actually is a sender of energies and the informations which are not needed, and continuously reaches the skull of the man and the brain itself. One of the reasons that you have such elaborate conditions, and as Dr. Elia explained, goes right to the center, to the inner part of the brain, is to take out and dissipate the information which is not needed. It's a part of the exhaust system for the brain. In so many ways, we always think, just because we are so much attached to physicality, that the ear is to receive everything. But at the same time, our ears are the senders and remover of so much information which is not needed and can be dissipated from the brain area directly. In so many pictures and in so many ways, what we see, the brain is the replication of the whole structure of the human body. So when we receive information as sound, we receive information at the same time as energy and the plasmatic fields. We do not hear, or some of them, some people can hear, some others cannot hear the same noise. But the noise and the fields and the energy is absorbed continuously by the skull and the brain. And if you put a brain as like into a, let's say, a microwave, you put any item and just keep on feeding it with radiation of different types and plasmatic energy of different type, sooner or later it cooks. Unless it has a system built in that can dissipate and remove the excess energy directly from internally out of it, especially from its center. And this job by brain through evolution has been given to the ear. The traffic is two ways, but is more inside out than outside in by the ear. Because the information and the energy in all forms are received by the total area of the skull of the man and directly sent into the center, into the brain structure. And the only way and the only access we have to remove so much energy and so much information is through the ears. And in that process, the brain has made itself a filter system, a cleaning up system of energies. But at the same time has a reverse work too, which is what is the environment can make at the level can the physical part use for its existence. The ear of the man is not just to hear. You can hear without the ear, but the ear structure is needed for removal of plasmatic and all the energies which is received from the environment into the brain structure. If you can go in parallel, when we spoke with the eye, when in a space you receive photons in the eye, you get the flashes of light that is seen by astronauts. We've spoken about it before. Our brain continuously receives the same kind of energies. And these energies are not needed by the brain. Some are used, and the surplus in the same way is emitted out through the ear's structure of the inner ear to the middle ear and outer ear. And if the information is not at the level or is at the condition that is needed action of the physicality, as the ears cannot hear, but the emotional part of the brain and the physical part of the brain observe and receive the information, the physicality would react to it. And for this process to connect the emotional part and the brain part to the physicality, the balance part of which is the balances the brain for the pressure of the blood which comes in for what is to be received, because for the blood to come from the heart to deliver the right amount of energy to the brain area, it needs a certain pressure. This is done by the inner part of the ear. The same system of balancing through a neural system is passed on to the foot of the man. What does this mean? This means that if, for example, you don't hear or you hear, or the noise and the information and the energy is received by the skull without the ear, or bypassing the ear, or is at the level that the ear cannot change it to the understandable information as a sound for the man, for the emotional part to guarantee survival, it has connected the nerve system directly through, like a toes of the man and the foot, directly through the inner balancing of the ear in a section to the foot. And this is very vital because this guarantees that the body can run away from the position that the emotional part can be destroyed. A lot of you, especially ladies who wear open shoes in the summertime, have clipped your little toe somewhere to a furniture or a chair or whatever. And in that process, if you notice, for some times or for a long time, you find you twist what they call you twist your ankle. You find you turning, your foot turns. The reason for this is because the little toe is all the toes are balancing neural system for this nerve which is in the center, which is connected to the inner ear of the man for the balancing of the what I call the top core. So when you clip your toe, you disbalance this nerve system. And then for it to balance itself and not to go what you call to fall or to go dizzy, body has to completely adjust its physicality. But in fact, the inner core of the inner part of the inner ear dictates how this balancing of the foot is done, that it can save the life of the man at a point of danger if he hears something. So you find a lot of twisted ankles, a lot of injuries with the spinal cord, and then it comes with the discs and it goes back to the nerve discs damages and whatever we see, just because of the balancing of the inner ear, which is connected to the physicality for the physical part. The inner ear of the man not only balances the whole structure of the brain, but to guarantee the life of the emotional part or the physical part of the brain, has connected itself to the foot, because that's the only thing which can run you away from danger. And if you disbalance it, you find all the structures goes. So a lot of doctors know, I have shown it to Dr. Elia as well, how you can put a little toe back in position, the nerve system comes in balance, the twisting of the ankle and the balancing of the ear goes back and you live a normal life. But in that process, which 99% of the doctors are not aware of, you end up with a lot of disc damage, hernia and the rest. So the inner ear and the structure of the inner ear has a direct effect on the physical part control and the emotional and the receipts of the energy within the structure of the brain of the man. How the ear has evolved over time, it has made a very convenient positioning for the body, is that it sits in a position that is more or less in line with the vision, with the eyes, and it sits somewhere between the nose and the eyes, and the three elements together in one line make sure the guarantee of the life of the emotional part of the body. So whatever the emotional part needs to guarantee existence, it has made for itself a hole to look into, to receive, or to get rid of. In so many ways, if it's hard to understand, the work of the eye is the same as the work of the ear. As you can see through it, you can receive information through it too. You look out of the eye, and from out of the eye, the information comes into the brain. The same process repeats itself with the ear. As much information as you receive, you give out. It's very much like satellite dish. It receives and transmits at the same time. But the man has always looked at, because he can hear through it, it looks at it as the only organ, a job that it is to hear what it needs to be done. And then, if the world of science understands this, that the ear is not just for listening, but it's for transmitting too, then you understand how and the way emotions and feelings released by the body without using a neurosystem through the ear of the man. This is very fundamental. This is one of the cornerstones of the survival and life of the man. This is why Dr. Elia in the last sentence explained that if the two crash, then it's bleeding and the sudden death. Because the information and dissipation of energy and the information cannot be done, is not that it's received, it cannot send out, and everything messes up inside the information transfer internally between the emotional and the physical part. If, as I said before, the information strength balance between the physical part and the emotional part is disturbed, that there is no connection, this becomes detachment and the death of the man in the physical form. And one of these conditions is created by the ear. When the ear cannot transmit what it receives to create that balance from inside out, then you find death or separation of physicality from emotional part. The whole concept and connection of the ear is not to hear the sound, but to understand the emotion of the sound. Then we transfer that emotion into our emotional part, and it's registered and ingrained in our DNA and RNA. When you go through to hear a sad news, a noise is a noise. A cry, we made it cry, because that frequency, that noise in that form brings us a reaction, and that comes from the emotional part. When we hear laughter, laughter is nothing but a noise, but its effect reaches the emotional part. It does nothing to the physical part. So the ear are the channels to the emotion of the environment of the man where he exists. In the coming time, when we travel into space, man will understand more purposes for the ear. Through our ear, we feel, we absorb the energy of entities which do not have physicality. But we can hear, we can sense their presence and their emotions. You cannot smell them, they don't smell, so you cannot show reaction. You cannot see them because they are invisible to the level of the amino acid of the man. But through ears we can hear and sense their emotions. That's why the ears has been put at that level, so close and directly internally, very close to the emotional part. And for the reaction to the physical part. The structure of the brain, the existence and survival of the brain, highly and totally depends on the work of the ears, in what receives or what does not receive. The people who go through losing their ear or whatever, even you chop your ears off, the same process still goes on. You still dissipate and receive information the way it has to be. This brings us back to a very interesting point. I was explaining this to Dr. Elia earlier, and she mentioned it in her part. If you remember last time when we spoke about the little tongue in the back of your throat, it gives you indication of the behavior of the man. Strangely enough, your ear gives everything away in one go. If you are trained, if you understand the structure of the working of the brain in the emotional part, the emotional part manifests itself in physical part. And your ear is connected directly to your emotional behavior because it receives everything through, so it has to have certain ways. So, when you see a man or a woman, in a very quick way, we already have registered in our brains, we are not so much aware of it. The shape of the ear, the closest of the ear to the skull, the further the ear stands, the upright of the spoon, the pointing of the ear, will give you every indication what kind of the man you got in front of you. Emotional, a cheat, correct man, somebody who's there to listen to, and somebody there just pretending to listen but is trying to defraud you from your emotions. Because the ear is directly connected to the emotional part of the brain in communicating and receiving, it has to mimic its master. Nothing is closer to the emotional presence of man than the ear. So when you see people with any structure, the only thing they cannot hide is their ear. Then when you look, you know what you have in your hand, what you got and what you can expect from the relationship. Be it a business, be it emotional, be it whatever. You find out, go into details, a lot of successful politicians which are very good liars have the same kind of ear, because they are emotionless. The seat of power is more important to them than the emotion. Because to them, emotionality is detached from physicality. And this is very important if and when, and the time comes when we say the boat of Noah is ready to go. Because you understand what you have, how you have. There is a lot of research done in this field, but now that we understand emotionally connected with the physicality, this is where it shows itself. Because the ears are an eye into the emotion of the man. This puts a lot of people walking with the hands on the ears from now on. Elia is laughing. You find nations and cultures which covering of the ear is a habit. It's the nation which the emotion runs very deep. The reason being is that by covering the ear or the head, you closely attach your ear to the skull, and that brings you closer to the emotional part. And we see this especially with the religious fanatics. Doesn't matter in what section and what kind they cover themselves. This is part of the process which, even when I do systems for the same disease, I always ask to see the volunteer. They think I listen, but I look at the structure of how and what kind of person I have in my hand in guaranteeing the success of the process. And you find out, And we've seen it in our trials in Middle East. We find a lot of problem, especially with the female process of changing anything. It has a lot to do how we work, how we clothe, how we behave, is how we position our ears in respect to the structure of our physical body. This is vital, it's very important, especially in the space technology of the future, how we can set up a system to know that we are not lied to. Don't forget, go back to the system where I set my volunteers in front of the machine. They hear to instruction, they listen to instruction. And to that instruction, they have to show their behavior of the emotion. So, through the ear, I control the emotion to see what I receive and what is good in my hand. And unknowingly, the system receives the fields and backwardness and the forwardness. What the system sends out as a positive or negative gives us an indication of what the field sits and what the person is, and how much of it is received and how much of it is received incorrectly in the behavior of the man. So, one of the structures, one of the main dimensions of the future of the man, when you don't have the body, in the physicality of worrying about what's going to happen, the position of the ear in the head, the shape of the ear in the head, on the head, the way it is, what I call position in the angle to the closeness to the skull, gives a lot of information. And you'll see a lot of mental disturbances. People have a specific shape of ear because they receive and they emit in a certain length energy, in a certain strength energy that allows the ear to dissipate so much information or energy which is coming. So, in fact, an eye to the soul of the man is through his ears, if the man understands the truth about the sound which he receives, even though invisible and undetectable. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Just like the uvula, you said it changes as we grow. Does the ears change then also, or is it stuck when you're mature?
That's it. As we said, that's what you have, and you cannot change your character.
Okay.
What if somebody changed their ears? There's a tradition that some cultures have. Like, for example, if somebody's ear, if a child's ears look like they stick out too much, there's a technique called pinning, which pins the ears back. Yeah.
Then what
Does
will
that
be
change the actual person to do that?
Yes.
Does it change their personality, and how would it change them? What does the ears that stick out, what does that mean when the ears stick out, what we call too much?
Too much. Or is pointed like Mr. Spark.
Right, yes, that's always an indicator of something mischievous, it seems.
No, actually, it's just somebody who receives too much. A pointing ear is very much like a leaf on a tree, on a plant. When you have points, it means of receiving. It has a different meaning. When you pin an ear, psychologically, if you trace these people at adulthood, you have a psychological problem. because the body was built to dissipate and receive certain waves, certain energies, and now you have disturbed it. Now it receives something which is not balanced with the emotional part, or even with the physical part. You find these, if you follow the life of the people who what they call pinning, then in their 40s and 50s, you find a lot of psychological problem. The shape of your hand, the shape of your finger, the shape of your toes, the shape of your foot gives a very direct information about your emotional part in respect to your physical part. The shape and the position of your ears gives a very direct indication of your emotional behavior.
Okay,
Over millions of years, sorry about that.
sorry.
Over millions of years, our eyes has been trained to assess what we see and how we see it. It's very much like if we see, let's say, an animal with a drop ear, we know there is nothing but the ears sticking up, we know it's alert. Because it shows his emotion, it shows his position, condition mentally and psychologically. It's the same with a man. But unfortunately, we don't have muscles to move our ears around to hide it. So when it's done and it's fixed, it's a reflection of the mirror of your emotional part.
Didn't have my mic. Sorry, I didn't have my microphone on in live stream. I'll have to repeat that strange thing. There was a news item that I just happened to come across yesterday, and it was about a person who was arrested for licking someone's foot and then stealing their shoe. And then, in light of the information that's come out today from Mr. Kesh and from Elia with this relationship between the feet and the inner ear and the emotional part of the brain, how would you explain this kind of behavior, which we call, odd, but it's not that odd in terms of the foot fetish kind of thing is, fairly common as far as fetishes go, apparently. Can you explain some of that, Mr. Kesh?
Dr. Elia is trying to tell me something holding her nose and ears. Let her explain, then I'll tell you something about it. No, you say your part, I don't have to say anything.
I just asked Mr. Kish to explain what is the relation between ears and nose and the position between the ears and nose, and if the enters of the ears, what we call in the middle hole, what you have, and the tip of the nose, how that line which the cross two enters of the ears and tip of the nose related with emotional part of the brain. Just 1 second.
Let's go back to your licking foot. Mr. Abdullahi from
Not me. It's not my problem. It's my friend.
No, it's the question.
Yes, right.
No. Okay, let me say, okay, you have to understand a lot of things about a man, the foot, the nerve in the foot, which goes directly to the ear balancing and emotional part. One of these gestures, you call it somebody licking somebody's foot, comes why the Pope has to wash the feet of men, or recently women and children. Why? What does symbolically means? The foot is connected directly to emotion and humbleness, to be accepting that I'm lower than you. But what is important? is, if you notice, which is a very common practice if you are lovers, that men or women play or rub or whatever with each other's foot. We under the table tap each other and play with the toes when you're in love with your partner. Because through it, we reflect our emotion through physicality to the emotional part through the new nerve system. Because we find balance. If you look at people like, which is fashionable now to wash the feet of 40 people by Pope, you have to look at the physical posture and how and the way it's done. It's not done with sincerity, it's done because I have to. It's very much like I explained yesterday, the posture between the Iranian minister and the American and the European minister sitting down. Position of comfort. When you lick somebody's foot and steal the shoe, the reason you stole the shoe because the odor, the smell, the taste, and what you gave to the foot or you licked from the foot is carried in the shoe. So instead of you can't carry the person, you carry the shoe, so you got what you wanted. It's not that they stole the shoe. The shoe carries that sense which at the point of licking it, the odor comes, registers a comfort zone in the brain, and so I can't take the body because body is snatching, so I can steal the shoe but carry the same odor that it gives the same emotion. The neurosystem, especially the central nerve which goes right across the center of the foot, carries every information you want to carry for the emotional part of the body of the man. And it's never been understood. I teach this quite a lot to doctors and physiotherapists which I work with. You want to put man's physical part out of pain or spinal damage or uncomfort in the pain as a hernia or whatever, or a back problem, correct the 5 toes position. It's a specific way to be done. I always teach it. And you put the foot and the ankle in position, the nerve goes back in its original line of forces. It's a pressure, magnetic, gravitational field force line. And then with it, it corrects the rest of the upwardsing of the spinal cords, the spinal structure to the neck and to the brain, because it releases the pain, it gives a comfort, release. Emotionally, you're not at pain. Then you find the physicality corrects itself. As I said when I teach this to the physiotherapists, none of them would like to use it. Because when you put it right, you don't go back in. Half of the disc problems is sorted. So, as you don't go back in, he hasn't got the income. He makes money as long as you're in pain. And if he takes you out of it, you're not going back. The emotional nerve, or what I call the balance nerve in the center of the foot, is, when it's disturbed, is a cause of some 80% of the back problem, disc compressions and the rest of it. Because when it's disbalanced, physically you're disbalanced, then emotionally disbalances you, then the brain has continuously to produce information to keep a balance. And then so the energy goes and the rest of the damage which you see. In fact, what it is when this nerve is disturbed in the foot, it has a very specific structure, this nerve. If you look at your 2 halves of the brain, the left side is responsible for the right side. The inner part of your brain is upper leg. The top of your brain in the center to the side of the ear is your lower leg. The foot is just above the ear to go down, into the center of the brain, and the toes sit just above the ear hole into the center ear to the middle ear. And when you correct it, because of the neurosystem and balancing of the pressure, it corrects the inner ear and the balance of the body. And in a way, if you want to understand it, it's just you trying to put sticks together. You keep, let's say, boxes together, and you try to walk with a lot of boxes, or let's say glasses, in middle of the crowd. You find that you have to juggle that the top glass doesn't drop down. The bottom glass is your neural system in the center of the foot and your ankle, and the top glass on top of the pyramid is your brain. You juggle, you move left and right, and left and right, and this is what happens to your spine. And you literally crush your spine to pieces, and you have a disc damage and the rest. When we go visual correct, we can show. I show you how you can use your wife, your husband, or whatever to correct this, and you find out 80% of the back damages, spinal cord damages, discs and hernias and sciatic nerves, literally within 48 hours disappears. And then you have to repair the disc damage, which is very easy to, and that's why we are well known for our work, because we understand the connection between this nerve, which is what I call a balancing nerve, and the inner ear. You have to do it in a specific way to be able to release it. Next question. Nobody there, we can go.
There's somebody here. There was a question from Wolf about, that's common for many people. What is tinnitus and how can it be cured?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the buzzing noise in the ear.
Yes, I get that occasionally, actually, because of my.
Can I be very correct and direct?
Of course.
Ask your conscious what's wrong and what you have thought the wrong way.
Well, for me, it's being in an environment that is way too loud, and I needed to remove myself from those overly loud environments, which create a resonance that lasts for days, basically, from exposures. So I realized I have to stop doing that. Just stop it, as it said.
Interesting enough, a lot of it, now this technology, exactly what you talk, but in a very subtle way, is used by security services to intrude and control people through new flat screen televisions. What you're talking about, what the question was asked, is a lot of the new flat television screens, which are heavily marketed, are used specifically to create sub-noise level to control. A lot of people, I'll put some links on this, you can read it. This is what they call screen jamming interference. They can even give you, it's like a buzzing noise, you don't hear it unless you're sensitive to it. The frequency tuned to 9 millihertz, if I'm correct. And then they can give you materials without you knowing, even through a handshake or whatever, that you become a receiver. They can put a little like aerial antennas in the pillow or in the blanket, you don't feel it. But when you sleep, you're in touch with it, you short-circuit it. And they use it as a subtle noise in the ear. And through that is the reverse diagnosis of illnesses which is developed by the Russians. And in the last week or the week before, when we had our Italian friends here, he explained. So they can cause you diseases which don't exist in your body through your ear. This is a new type of what you call intrusion through the new medias. I was talking about this to a specialist very recently. One of the reasons we have put the security dome around the building is for this reason.
Can you speak a little more about that? People would be interested to have more information
if
about protective environments.
yes, the situation. I mean, if you are here in the building, we can show it to you. Even my laptop is covered in the same basis at the moment. What happens? They use a specific frequency. If I get the link, I'll put it up. You can. It's in my. I have it. You can read it. This technology is the reverse technology used or developed for the medicine, that they can play noises in your ear and find diseases in your body. It's a very effective way of discovering diseases. I have done a lot of research on it years ago with somebody who a lot of you, if you live in Belgium, know him very well, with his partner. We did a lot of research into this, detecting noise, using the noise through the ear. It's a Russian technology. It's done a lot with the Germans. Now it's part of the scene of the detection of the illnesses. It's 40 to 60% accurate. And I spent 6 months researching into this, because in the space we can't take doctors. So now we're looking into this system. Then about 2 weeks ago, I found out what's the fault with this system. And now with our Italian Keshe Foundation groups in developing the software, I explained to them where the problem is, and within the next few months, we'll develop the system which makes it a little bit more accurate. But you can assess, for example, what is the problem, if the problem is with the kidney or is it with the liver, and what it is. So now they use this technology in reverse to cause the problem in the kidney and the liver. This was what part of the poisoning system of my body in the past few weeks was done this way. The only thing is, I specifically chose this house that this could not be done, because it was done to us in Belgium. And unfortunately, we had a security break barrier, and they managed to install the system somewhere in the building. So with the dome which we have created, we have blocked it. And we see it immediately, the first minutes we knew the change. What you do, I better don't give too much away at the moment till we are secure. But what you do, you create, it's very much like a virus, like E. coli and Ebola, which we are doing in Africa. We create a line that the field links up with the spherical field of the dome. Doesn't matter, you can put a system next to the ear of the person you want to damage, but automatically links up to the system. At the moment we have a 50 to 100 meter cover in buildings, and now the White House has come on the cover in past few days too. So what they do, they send you a frequency specific. This is highly developed by IMAC of Belgium. We are aware from what's happening and how it comes. Sooner or later it'll come up. It's the new type of warfare. If you go back, part
Mr.
of
Keshe,
it.
to be clear, when you said White House, you mean the White House that you're living in, not the White House.
No.
Okay.
We have a White House and a Yellow House in the foundation.
Right. Just wanted to make sure that was clear when they transcribe this conversation.
Yeah. As you know, we invited the man of the White House to our White House. We're still waiting for a response. But the position is that it is how they use the technology and how it's used. I was telling Caroline a few days ago, I'm going to go and start looking for do you remember those black and white tube televisions? The valve ones? Those they cannot interfere with. You're safe. But part of this electronic build-up of the flat screen has allowed a huge intrusion that I explained to you a trial which is going with some services. How much of this we can divulge, I don't know. Let me tell you this way. You know, the hospitals have a budget. For example, a hospital has to create €1 million a week to keep it running, that it can cover its expenses. So when you go to the hospital, even if it's nothing wrong with you, you have to have an operation, because your operation brings 20,000, which pays part of that from the insurance company for running of the hospital. That's why a lot of operations nowadays are false operations. And I know directors of hospitals who have resigned because they can't stand this cheat. Now, some trial has been done where, for example, in this area, they decide to increase the kidney diseases that the hospital can do research on the kidney. So through screens, flat screens, they create a condition that a lot of people in different areas within a certain zone will have certain diseases that they can do the research, or they can generate money for the hospital. It's gone to the extreme, this process. Now we have developed as part of the plasma technology to block this. We will divulge. I told you when I'm sure when we have the American securities here, military, they will see it in operation. You do not block. Blocking does not work, because then they change their frequency to something else. What you do, you link in like a virus, as I said, that all the fields become part of the system. You know, as part of the poisoning used here, they spread the living quarters with a specific powder, which is a magnetic powder. Then they intrude your body through the fields they release through the flat screen. We immediately were informed by the national securities what's been done. Marco and Armand have taken a picture of the dust. So I put immediately into operation what we knew to remove it.
Parrot mini drones.
To neutralize it. And they're working very hard to do whatever they can to be able to activate it. It's a greenish dust particle, is a magnetic, metallic, and it's very much like a phosphor. And as it comes in touch with your skin, it gets like sinks into, it's so talkish that it sinks to your skin. And then they saturate the environment with the frequencies from the flat screen. So, as I said, you receive all the noise and everything through your ear. They literally cook your brain. And we noticed this was done through our even laptops and iPads. So we have covered screen. Everything has been covered totally.
People may not believe that the computer screens can do that sort of thing, and both the screen and the audio can both be used, because I played actually played my computer screen. I'm showing it on the live stream there now. I've got a video I made a few years ago of actually touching the screen and altering the sound in a crystal radio by touching the screen. And different colors that come up on the screen emit different frequencies. And you can actually change the sound coming through a radio by different colors on the screen of a computer screen. So it's pretty clear to me from previous experiments that could easily be used against someone if they were someone that was trying to combine frequencies or colors or sounds all in certain ways to activate some kind of strange powder that might be dispersed in the environment, or some other two-part component that would get mixed together. So some sort of development that could protect against that would definitely be helpful for people that see that feel that they're targeted. At least some people feel that they're targeted that way. There's quite a lot of people feel that way.
think we are gone.
No.
Where are we? Are we back on again? Can you hear us?
Again.
Yeah. No problem. I have to explain something to Marco 1 second. In some countries they use the word diet, and in some countries they use it light. It's not a real sugar. No. It's that they don't want you to get fat. That's all it is. Okay. So what
Can I
happens if they actually do this? Yeah, go on, carry on.
I was going to ask you, because you've mentioned this before in a workshop or some other part, where you were talking about aluminum GANs and how it links up to phosphor. Can you explain that relation at this point?
No. We come to this when we speak about just 1 second. Topoli is there, he can't go down.
Sorry, I didn't want to make your
Just
life miserable.
No. Just our mascot has walked up with Armin, and he sits there for hours. We have a little dog called Topoli, who's a mascot of the foundation, and he goes everywhere. Now we moved to a different building, he's with us. No, what happens is that when we come to the setting up of the system in respect to the existence of the man with the DNA and RNA, with a phosphor chain, it creates a specific gravitational magnetic field. It's the fingerprint of the human race. And this gravitational magnetic field of the phosphor on the DNA gives an indication to our presence in the dimension of the people or entities which cannot physically detect us. The phosphor in conjunction with RNA creates a specific glow. It's like, as we say, the sun and the earth, the interaction creates a daylight. And this is a fingerprint of, this is a fingerprint of human body or human race. In coming time, I'll show it when we start the space technology and space left. These are the things which we teach gradually.
It was in the news today that DNA can survive in space, they've determined, and can enter back into the atmosphere.
Yeah, because it's GANs, huh? They just realized what we've been saying for a long time. So it's a physicality.
Mr. Kesh, on that system that detects the illnesses through sound, I know a little bit about those. Did you find out that there's a certain percentage of people that have genetic issues that cause the difference for the efficiency of it?
I don't know much about it because I had to do this with when it was offered to us about 4 or 5 years ago in Belgium. I explained to you that I did some tests with a guy who with a girlfriend of or partner of a guy who we knew through the foundation, and we tried to validate the correctness of it. I have key full of information about this, but I don't know, I couldn't understand it. This is the first time. It's been made more efficient recently by the Italian group, which is working with us now, hopefully. And so we'll see what comes up. I don't know much about it other than that. Because I tested it to see if my system, the use of it can show its results or a change of whatever they are supposed to show. And in most of the cases, it doesn't do. The thing is, the information they gather is on a matter level, on the frequency of the matter. So what we do with the Italians, we're changing everything to the plasma. They usually put a headphone on you, or they give you like a joystick to hold. that they can collect their data. But the joystick has a wire with a connected to the metal that it takes your impulses or your heat. So what we are doing, we're changing the stick instead of the wire and holding it to very much like the ball which Armand and Marco carry for control. So we're changing the system of control. Instead of the wires, we're using nano-coated layers, which is information of the plasma of the body, not the electrons, which are actually don't exist in the transmission. Then it changes different data. You become more accurate because a liver has a plasmatic field and a kidney the same. And if you put copper in it, will what do you call it? Will show differently. The
Sounds
new
like it'll work good.
technology. We'll see it now because we're going to work in the operation of the real operation of the body, not in electrons. As Rick said, they just found out that DNA can exist in space, so it's a GANs. So you have to understand its property through its GANs or the plasma of it, not through its electrons, because it has no electron.
It
But
seems
in the
that
body of the man, and let me tell you, in the body of man, unless you put a nail or ear pierce in it, there are no electrons. You will not find a single electron inside the body of the man. And how do they want to measure it? Because they use a wire which is electronic. The system of technology changed. I've discussed this already with our Italian groups. You'll find us will have a very close collaboration with the Italians and hopefully with the Iranian scientists and the plasma technology for development of these new systems. Our collaboration with Iran will start openly, very rapidly in the coming time, and especially hopefully with the collaboration with the Americans and the Italians. You'll be shocked. News. Let me say something to you. You'll be shocked, hopefully, with the news which come out of the foundation in the next couple of weeks. Our hand of peace has not gone just only to 5+1, but it's gone at a high level with the military and the rest between the nations. It's been put out and we're waiting again for the Americans to respond back. Next question.
Yeah, I had one about the ear. Now you said it can, it releases and sends out the information. You know, years ago when I was developing my abilities to send out the information through my emotional mind, when I would get the feeling and change my skin charge and everything, oftentimes I would get a sound in my head when I did it, every time until I learned to separate the two and do them independently. Is there a specific sound that it creates in your head?
I don't know, it depends on you. Each blood is different and depends what you hear. It's very much like the dog whistle, you know, the whistle, you have whistles which you blow, you can't hear but the dogs hear. It's the same way with your emotion and your other fields within your ear. Your body continuously receives and rejects and sends out at a level which the rest cannot hear, but specific organs can hear. Each organ has its own plasmatic magnetic field, but it passes your ear because you got to reach to, let's say, to your knee or to your bladder. Your ears are much closer, and you don't want to hear continuous information between your bladder and your ear. It goes zzz. So ear has learned to block it or filter it. And sometimes when you make a mistake, you hear your bladder and you think, I hear aliens. But in fact, you have tuned into frequency or plasmatic field motion of your, for your physical part to your bladder.
if we were to hear what comes out of other people's ears, would it be what's excluded from, in other words, we would hear what they don't absorb, and we would know what they aren't in a way. Is that true?
I play this a lot with my boys. You know, we have children, and since they've been little, I put the ears against my ear and I make a noise or make a thought and they start tickling and laughing. You can do a lot with your ears because then you are actually close with the emotion of your child. Just put your ear next to your ear of your child and start humming, and you hear what hums comes back, which is very strange. You can feel their pain, you can feel their emotion in what you receive back from them. If you are sensitive enough, you can feel their fears, what they're afraid of. When I find my children, when they were young, even with my youngest boy, there is a problem which I cannot understand. I played this game quite a lot. Because to them it's just a noise they hear. You put your ears next to the ear of your child and you go, and then you hear what irritates them in what, if you make a noise to be a happy noise, and how they respond. If it's a sad noise, why they respond. And because they give their emotions back to you, they release themselves from the emotion which they carry, which is wrong for their understanding. Next question.
So, but that also means that when we're releasing that information, that it's in the plasmatic state, and this is why when you could be on either side of the planet, you could still hear that person.
Most probably.
Right, because there's no air, it's not an air resistance. So we think of sound as, the waveform in the air, but the plasmatic sound is, it can go forever.
That's right. Some say that sound can travel through the entire universe. When you say something, it actually travels through the universes. And we can sort of look at it that way, not as a sound wave, but as a plasmatic
energy. Yeah, plasmatic energy. How about a plasmatic energy, or the energies that you release?
So that's part of the instant communication concept, Mr. Kesh?
Emotional communication and physical. Have you ever eavesdropped, putting your ear to a door, listening what's happening inside the door or inside the room, and the only thing you hear is bzzz, and you think you're hearing things, actually is your own, the motion of the blood in your own ear, and you're hearing yourself that you're doing something wrong? Then you can teach yourself. If you push your ear a bit too hard against your skull, or just put a very soft ear, you hear different noises.
Yeah, I've done tests like that, and
Yeah.
at different points you hear different things.
I did a.
Let me say something.
Okay.
Go, carry on, Rick. Carry on.
Well, I was just going to say I did an experiment yesterday, actually, along those ways, where I actually stuck my thumb in my ear and put my hand up against the steering wheel while I was driving. And I could hear the road noises coming through the steering wheel very clearly, the wheel bearings, the wheels on the pavement and so on, which I couldn't hear with my normal ears by just taking my thumb out of my ears and traveling along. So it's the vibrations were conducted through my hand into my thumb and directly into the bones of my brain, you might say. So it's a different way of hearing. Okay, sorry.
Don't worry, carry on. I just said to Elia, please do not put on the forum what the subject is going to be the day before. They do all sorts of tests for it to see what it should be next time. I tell you what you can use your ear for, if you understand how to do it. Through the noise, put through the ears, logical balance and the direction and the way the brain operates with any man or of yourself. If you get a stereo system and which you can.
We're just getting some sound breakup, Mr. Kesh. Can you hear us?
We missed a couple of words there.
The noise,
Mr.
the
Kesh?
balance of the noise. Hello? Yeah? Yeah,
From the
what
stereo.
happened?
If you get a sound from the stereo, that's what we heard.
Yeah, okay. Get a stereo system, it's called. If you get a headphone, a stereo headphone, with a adjustable head, each side can be controlled. Put it on your head, and for example, bring it to the lowest, and then increase the noise slowly, very, very slowly. You hear the noise through your ear. Then it comes a point where you do not hear the noise anymore in your ears, but you feel the noise. You understand the noise literally in the back of your head where your thalamus is. In a way, you find out your ears are useless, that nothing goes through the ear. But you hear the music, it stimulates the back of the thalamus, and it balances your physicality. When you take the head, look at where the indicate, if one is a bit louder than the other one, and this is what it was originally, a stereo sound was built for, but they never understood how to use it for understanding the correctness or the balance between the emotional and physical part. Then you see when you pass the physicality of the ear into the sound level, which exactly is the way I said you absorb a lot of fields from the environment. And then if you pass a point, you start hearing or vibration of the noise in the tip of your ears outside. This is what comes out. Then it tells you if you are mentally stable or physically stable, and how is connection between the two. If you can find, these stereo system headphones are not easy to find usually, but if you find it, then you can find the structure of the brain, of your own brain in a way, how connected you are with physicality and to the emotion side. Because if you put for example,
Sorry, Mr. Kesh,
this
getting
is
a lot of.
what's happening. Can you hear it now better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very good test for people with Alzheimer's, because you can reach, and they usually react to it in a very special way. Any other question? We are nearly. We have a question
We're at
from
the
in-house.
2 hour mark
Yes.
here now. So.
Yeah. Okay. We got a question in-house.
Yeah, Mr. Cash. Every time when, let's say, I go to sleep and there's total silence, and I try to listen to the silence, and then I find that little noise in the background in my head. And when I focus on it, it gets louder and louder and louder and amplifies. But I can still hear The smallest things, but the noise is in the head. So what is that?
It's your blood pressure.
The blood pressure.
It's your blood for most of it.
It's a very loud noise.
Yeah, because you sleep in the back of your head.
Yeah.
It's the blood vessel there.
Okay.
You don't have I explained that this is the blood pressure, blood vessels in the back of the head. As a lot of you know, man does not have a heartbeat sound. The sound of the heart comes from the pumping of the blood through the reflection of its noise through the skull of the man. It reflects back down. If you behead a man, there is no noise of the heartbeat. That's where our heartbeat, the noise of the pump, comes from the noise of the valves when they pump to the skull, and it reflects back, and we hear it as a pump, pump. Then you have this. Yeah, it's a blood vessel pressure. Yeah. Any other question?
I think we should wrap it up for today. That was a very, very nice presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We meet on.
We just have one.
Oh, we have
Sorry.
one more.
Yeah, go on, ask the question.
Yeah, because we forgot Eric's question again, Rick. About the chlorine in the eyes. Can we ask that question?
Can Eric actually ask it? Do you want to ask it, Eric, yourself?
What is it? The eyes is next week's subject.
Okay. How about Eric? We leave that question for next week, because then Mike can answer.
Well,
we're trying to do.
Sure, we could prepare them a little bit, maybe by just suggesting the question now and have the answer
What
next
is the
week.
question, please?
It had to do with chlorine, getting chlorine in the eyes, like if you were swimming in a swimming pool. And after that happens, one sees sort of a halo effect or a alteration of the vision, and wondering about how that's aura type effect.
That's just a layer, and its physicality is nothing to do with the eye. It's outside the eye. You create a temporary layer in front of your eyeball.
Well, maybe we can discuss that in more detail next week.
It's
it might be
next
interesting.
time. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why it grows, because your personality changes. The question was, why does your ear grows with the age? I said it's to do with your personality and your emotion. We have, if we can announce it, because Rick knows about it, we try to have, or we will have, from between 5 and 7 o'clock on Monday, the 1st of December, the first Italian workshop. The Italians have just woken up. They realize they need a workshop. So every other Monday, first and the third week of each month, Monday, at the moment, we'll have the Italian workshops. We'll see where we go. And the other weeks, we have Chinese.
So that was 5 to 7 p.m.
Central European time. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
And like I said, as we discussed before, we know a French workshop is on its way. There are discussions about it, I hear. There's a possibility of Hindu possible to be done workshop, and we'll see where we go.
We might be going to intergalactic workshops next, perhaps.
We'll bring an alien to talk as well.
Yeah, the Martian knowledge seeker workshop. They're looking for help here too.
No, believe it or not, they do.
I think so.
The knowledge is for everyone.
Right, exactly.
Thank you very much. We'll see you on Monday. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
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 Okay, thanks everybody else for tuning in to the live stream and for the Skype call. I had some great questions today. And that ends the 12th health teaching workshop.
Bye. See you next time.
Mr. Kesh,
I-
how are the
Yeah.
CO2 kits going? Can you
Pardon?
just a quick
So you
update?
put that on the. Okay,
Quick.
keep that on the
Yeah,
live
yeah.
stream.
Let's leave it on the live stream. What was the question, Vince?
Just how are the CO2 kit deliveries going, just in case we get emails or anything?
We have more or less up to 15th of November deliveries are done. We had a huge problem which we could not understand what it was, and then we understood again. UPS returned 18 and then another 15 batches of boxes which was outside EU yesterday. For some unknown reasons which we don't understand. Everything is in order, and so they have been redispatched again today. Anything you order till the 11th or the 15th of November has already left. If your order reads 11 before the 11th of November, what happened, we delayed the delivery shipment by 4 days last week. First of all, the week before, because now we're doing everything from the center till it goes to Hong Kong with Mr. Abdullahi or with our people in Italy. We were away, so it was a delay. And then when we came back, due to the suspicion of contamination, we had to stop everything till Tuesday in sending things out till we had the material analyzed. So again, we start the process as of yesterday. So we are behind by 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but it's just to do with what is happening in respect to our security here in the center. There was a suspicious of some materials being contaminated, so we had to clarify it, and it's been cleared. So now we go to the next step and see what happens. Everything should be delivered before end of next week. It should be on its way. What happened, as we said, the deliveries outside EU is to be paid by the receivers. It's on the forum. We cover the deliveries in EU. So some people refuse to pay the UPS delivery charges, and the UPS blocked all the deliveries outside the EU, and they all returned back here. So now we have organized in a different way. Whatever is returned is getting relabeled, repacked, and then resent out. And I think a first batch has gone out today. There is important, talking about this, if I can add to it, because it's part of the health section. I've seen that somebody has sent an email to or information to Sterling Allen. I mentioned that yesterday regarding that the poison of whatever received by us was less than a can of sardine, and the Italian police has started investigation as an attempted murder because this sardine was too much poisoned. So what has happened, the absorbing of the what do you call it, has been so actually it will stop. We don't know. Yes. Yeah, what has happened is that, I repeat it again, the Italian police has started an investigation. They have received enough material that they started the investigation into this process. And we know people from Belgium, high level, are pressurizing a lot of things to be stopped, but now there are two governments involved, it cannot be stopped. Because the level of arsenic delivered in 20 days, by their calculations, about 557 which is much, much more than average on top. This is only from the papers. As far as we know, contamination or cross-contamination has caused absorption or even digestion of more arsenic. There has been arsenic in a bowl of soup, and there's a suspicious about arsenic in 2, maybe 3 bottles of water as well, which has been drank on the table. So it's not, this is addition to the amount of arsenic we normally receive from drinking water and the environment. So it's a lethal level. This was for the ones who wanted to be a sardine. I think these people who write these articles are part of the process of the same people that are there, that are the friends who are giving hand in the background, trying to discredit it like everything else. And I was told by our security people today that there is a second person involved in conjunction with the, especially indication are 2 knowledge seekers being involved in the whole thing. But it just came in this morning. They monitored and they know there are 2 people involved. Somebody's covering somebody else in a way. We don't divulge names, but if it's proven correct, we release the name. Any other question? Or we call it a day for today.
Eric, excuse me, Eric does have one question about the tinnitus and how he can cure it, because he thinks he may have it.
Carry on. Hello?
Yeah, I'm just seeing if Eric can speak. Eric?
Still there?
Yes, yes, Mr. Ketcher. It's Eric Clausen.
Yes, hi Eric.
Hi, sir. I have one small question. I have tinnitus. Do you know how man to cure it? To cure the tinnitus.
Tell me exactly what happens.
Okay, when everything is in silent, I listen one beep, beep, very, very intense, very high frequency.
Go to your dentist and ask them to check all your fillings. And try to remember when this noise started and see if near that time you've been to a dentist or one of your fillings possibly has moved or there's a hole in it. Usually, is it both ears or one ear?
I hear in my head, in my head. Yeah.
Oh, do you have any dentures?
What is dentures?
False tooth.
Yes.
Okay, go and see your dentist.
Okay.
It's usually these kind of noises comes from. It's a small cavity. You just create a capacitor in the filling. The dentist hasn't done the job right, or the hook of your denture in touch with your filling creates like a radio frequency. And you find out it will go away. It's just matter of the way it's done. You go back to the time when you remember it started, and try to see if in that time, it could be even the normal denture, but let's say if you chew something hard and the grip moves, or the position of the tooth, so maybe cracks, then it goes away.
Yeah,
Finding it is very hard. You can find it.
But the problem is I had all my life. From
so
kinder.
you have a feeling somewhere very wrong. But this usually, if you hear noises in the ear, is connected with the tooth filling.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
But if you have, there is something else I have seen. I've seen it, but I don't know if I'm right to say it. But my understanding is, sometimes your blood vessels passes near your inner or part of your ear. And because it's in that level, nearby, you continuously hear your blood flow in your brain.
Yes, yes, yes.
You have
I
to find
understand.
out what it is. One of the ways, if it is, yeah, you know, when you go swimming or when you go in a high pressure, just blow air backwards in your ear. And if it creates that separation, just push it away and slightly away, see if it makes a change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fish.
Okay, no problem. Shall we call it a day? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so
See
much.
you
Kesh.
next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Vince, Sandro, everybody.
You're welcome, Eric.
Welcome.
Okay, and so ends the 12th health workshop. Yes, that's the second time, yes. Okay, that's it.